So this is Far Cry 3, and this is such a fantastic game. I love it. It is one of the best FPS games I have played. Um, I'm gonna be gushing over this game constantly, uh, but there are a few like little nitpicks that I can point out, but they're not major problems. Um, so Far Cry 3, a little history. The other Far Cry game I've played would be Far Cry 1, which I did do a review of. And this was made by a completely different team, and this is the first game in the series that really differentiated itself from the original Far Cry. And they were able to differentiate themselves in a amazing way. Far Cry 3 is genre defining in the open world genre, and it's not just for FPS games. It's genre defining for open world games, period. I played so many other open world games before. It's 2019 now, so I played quite a few. Um, and I can see the influence this game has on other open world games that have nothing to do with first person shooters, like, for example, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, games like that. The similarities would be, like so many mechanics, like the towers. There's like towers in this game which then open up the map and reveal all the important locations on the map and stuff like that. You know, the roving band of bandits that you see driving along in a natural, organic way. I saw that in Metal Gear Solid 5. Have little doubt that they were influenced by this game as well. Like just so many things I'm seeing in this game I saw in so many other open world games. But this game does not feel like it has aged, um, unlike some other games that were kind of like the progenitor of their genre. This game is still tons of fun, even in 2019. Um, so I think like one of the most important things about an FPS game is the shooting. The shooting's really solid in this game. Whether you're shooting, I mean, you're shooting human beings most of the time, and it's just so much fun. Like when you're trying to take over like an enemy camp or something. You have such a huge, vast, open space to just kind of play around in. Um, and one of the other really cool things about this game is you can travel around using vehicles that are just kind of strewn about the place. And it takes place in a first-person perspective, and I really like that. It maintains the immersion the entire time, and it's just like so cool. It's so fun to just drive around and mess around and explore. Um, so there's a lot to do. There's like some side quests. You can play poker. It's like all the basic stuff that you would find in a open world game. Um, let's see. So you can go hunting. I should talk about the hunting mechanic a little bit. So you saw me kill that cassowary back there. Um, so I have kind of mixed feelings about the hunting. Now the hunting is one of the is pretty cool in that you can collect animal skins. So after you kill an animal, you can then carve up the animal and get the animal skin and use that as crafting material to craft and upgrade your gear. I should say upgrade your gear. The animal skins are for upgrading, and the plants are for crafting. Yeah, one of the things that I'm not a huge fan of is how many bullets it takes to kill animals. I find that to be kind of, I mean, it's unrealistic, but more importantly, I don't know, it just makes them like kind of tanky, like unrealistically. Like you're going around hunting animals using heavy armaments, and it just doesn't make any sense. Um, like I remember back in the day, I would see like gameplay of this, and they would hunt animals using machine guns and stuff, and I just thought that looked weird out of context. But I know why they did it. The reason why they did it was because of the skill system and the syringe system. So in the syringe system, you have some syringes which protect you from animals, which allow you to see animals through walls and allow you to do more damage to animals. So I know why. So the reason why the animals are so bullet spongy is to incentivize making, crafting these syringes and using them. And it's kind of fun. I like it. Um, but yeah, they are kind of bullet spongy. You kind of just get this generic animation every time he kills and carves out an animal. But I'm willing to give it a pass on that since it's an older game. Doesn't need that level of polish. So they call these things leaves. This is amber leaf and stuff like that. You use these things to craft syringes. So the syringe system, I have kind of mixed feelings about. They are pretty cool. But at least in the PC version, I don't like the quick slot system. So like when you do this, it wants to assign it to a quick slot. So this is in the shape of a D-pad. So they designed this to function um, if you're playing the game with a gamepad, and they didn't properly implement this system for use on PC. So I never use syringes in one of these uh, quick slots because I forget which one is there. Like I can't remember that my endorphin boost is number 8. Like I feel like this could have been implemented a lot better. What I ended up doing was I just crafted the syringe and then I used it right on the spot. So like, if I would wanted to craft Hunter's Instinct, I would craft it. It would want to try to assign it. I would just escape out and then just use it immediately. That's what I would normally do, and I would just do this throughout the entire game. So I wish they kind of improved that feature for the PC version. Speaking of negative things about the PC version, the PC version in general just kind of feels like a lazy port. It has tons of bugs. Um, I've had instances where the game would it crashed on me at least once, I believe. Um, there was some periods of immense slowdown, which reminded me of Watch Dogs 2, but luckily it wasn't as bad as Watch Dogs 2. Um, and just like odd glitches. So this is a very old game, so for it not to be patched at this point is pretty disappointing. Just like oddities, just strange glitches that I've never seen before would occur during this game. Uh, so let's see. So we talked about the vehicles, we talked about the guns. Oh yeah, the skill system. So it has like a little bit of RPG mechanics, which is now kind of standard par for the course when it comes to open world games. You have like some pretty cool skills that you can unlock as you keep playing and killing things and completing quests. You get more experience, which then grants you skill points, which you can then use to spend on various new skills. And quite a few of them are pretty cool, but I gotta admit, yeah, there's quite a few that are pretty useless too, or I haven't really used much. Like stuff like dual death from above. Like the amount of times I use death from above, where you just jump on top of an enemy and kill them with a melee attack. I think I used that once. You know, and like just like skills that really aren't that useful. But I could see, people, experimenting around with some of those more rarely used skills and find good use for them. There's one skill where you just kind of slide into a into a crouching position. Not that useful, but not terrible either. Um, so we got the skill system, the crafting thing. So like one thing I want to mention a bit about upgrading your your items. You get lots of pouches, pouches for this, pouches for that, pouches for carrying um, syringes and just general like animal skins and stuff like that and leaves. I found that they get they get full very easily even after you upgrade them. But I can kind of see why they limit it, because they want to incentivize the crafting system and the upgrade system so that you hunt for animals to upgrade them as much as possible, and also as you can see for like the highest tier upgrade, it requires a rare animal item, so you need to do like a particular quest in order to unlock it. So it's able to incentivize the game's able to incentivize doing um, ancillary quests and things like that, stuff that strays off from the main quest, and that's a good thing. Um, One of the things I really love, maybe I might be able to find it, we'll see, is just like all the like movement options you have in this game. One of my favorite things is the hang glider. Let's see if I can go outside and find it, but there's so many other things you can do too. There's a zip line. I don't know if this is it. Is this a zip line? Yeah. You got zip lining, which is really fun to do. Hang gliding. Here's the hang glider. So the hang glider was in the first game actually, and it was just kind of neat to have it in there, but they had very limited practical use for it. In this game, they put it to full effect. You have a whole giant open world to explore with it, and it's so practical to use. You use it all the time, and it's so fun to use too. Um, it's all just kind of integrated with all the other vehicles and things that you can use. There's cars, of course, that we talked about before, but there's also boats, speed boats, and you can explore. There's so many different ways of exploring it. Eventually, you unlock a wingsuit, so you get kind of like a mini hang glider at all times, and you get a parachute. The zip lining is really cool. So I can imagine this would be a pretty fun game to speed run. Whenever you have like lots of movement options like that, lots of ways of traveling around. Uh, Very, very fun. I always say like, one of the most important things that you can do that you can nail in a video game is just moving around, just controlling your character. If that's fun to do, then you already got like 80% of the game right there. So now we want to kind of talk a little bit about the plot. Um, so the plot, I have mixed feelings on. I like how simple the story is. It's not too confusing. Uh, it's a, it's very easy to follow, not complicated. So if you're a dumb guy, you won't get confused too easily. um, Pretty straightforward. The characters are mostly garbage. The character you play as is a very generic character, not very interesting. He's not horrible, I guess, but his friends are also just like they're blah. They're very blah characters, not interesting in the slightest. I didn't feel for them. I didn't care about their safety, which is ultimately why I chose the ending that I did. Um, so we want to talk about some of the more pernicious aspects of the story as well. This game does unfortunately fall into some racist tropes, namely the white savior trope and also the kind of exotic girl, sexy girl trope. This happens a lot when, trying to fetishize, girls of, girls of color. In this game, you have this exotic black woman who's very sexy, and so it's every white guy's wet dream to have sex with her. So this game plays into that trope completely. But it also has the white savior trope, where like you have like a bunch of black people who need a white guy to save them from the evil that has plagued their society, and it's up to the white guy to do it. This is a recurring trope that happens in a lot of different video games and in movies especially. And it's unfortunate that this game employs those tropes. Definitely by no means a game breaker or anything like that, but it is something that is still worth criticizing. The ending, without getting too much into it to avoid spoilers, could be disappointing, but I wasn't too bothered by it. I thought it was alright. But I could see how some people might not like it. That's pretty much it. The game length is really good. I think we spent, if you stick to mostly the main storyline, it'll take you over 20 hours to beat it, I would say. But you can play this much longer and do so many side things. Such a cool, amazing game. I highly recommend it. I think it's still fantastic. That's all I gotta say.